Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera passions. I am your regular host, LeTara, back again with my favorite person, Lanaya.
Hi, everybody. Nice seeing you again.
uh, so today we're talking about what episodes? 486 through 490, I think. And it was wild.
Yeah,
it was really good.
It was.
We did a lot of complaining about it being really boring last week, but this week was like everything, like so much is happening. Like there's a lot. But before we get into it, I want to say a thank you to all of our patrons over on Patreon. So thank you to Munashe, Marcus, Erica, Brelyn, Lisa, Sid, Randall, Ashley, Hannah, Camelia, Amanda, Samantha, Eric, Jamie, Fantasia, Sean, S, Larissa, Maria, Greg, Lopez, Fitzgerald, Lisa, and Jessica. Thank you all so much for being patrons. And if you would like to become a patron and support the podcast, you can go over to patreon.com/passionspodcast and sign up. But if you don't want to commit to a monthly subscription, you can also just give us a tip. There's a tip jar on our link tree, which is in the description of the episode. So that's all that. That's my shameless plug for money. Now on with the show. Like I said, this week was really good.
Yeah, they must have heard us when we were complaining about nothing happening because they put everything in this week.
They heard it 20 years ago. They heard it in the past.
Yes. They knew we were going to make a podcast about it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, one day somebody's going to make a podcast about this, and they're going to hate this week of episodes, so we better make sure the next week is hella good.
Yeah, I feel like that actually happened.
Yeah, because I don't even think podcasts exist. No, podcasts definitely didn't exist back then. We had radio shows.
So maybe they thought someone was going to make a radio show.
But there were no
maybe
podcasts.
Maybe they foresaw podcasting happening too at the same time.
They used their powers of seeing.
Yeah.
Like Tabitha and her pool down in the lair this week.
We're going to talk about that today too.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Everybody's at the mansion for Luis and Sheridan's engagement party, right? At the party, we're going to start off with Magic. At the party, Charity is feeling very uneasy. She keeps having a vision of Sam kissing Ivy and that Grace is going to walk in on them. And then she also keeps smelling jasmine. She's like, do you smell jasmine? Miguel, I smell jasmine and it's so weird. I don't know. That's my best Charity impression. But then she also says, I smell jasmine and temptation.
Like, I wasn't aware that had a smell, but okay.
She's got the smell of temptation wafting through the air. And she's not wrong. She's just annoying, as always. Miguel reassures her that all is well, blah, 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 whatever. Who cares? So what? Who cares? Meanwhile, Tabitha and Timmy are wandering this mansion, searching for this evil object. Tabitha says, there's an evil object around here somewhere that's going to help me tear Miguel and Charity apart. So they're searching high and low. They get to Ivy's bedroom, goes into her bedroom, and Tabitha goes, this place feels really evil.
A little jab at Ivy right there.
Yeah. She's like, where are we? This feels particularly evil. And then she realizes, oh, it's Ivy's bedroom. It's like, yeah, this is a bad place, but good for her, basically. Yeah. But she's, again, looking for this evil object. And then we see that she's wearing Kay's soul around her neck. And Kay's soul begins to glow. And it starts to float, and it's like trying to lead her to something, I guess. And this is what she says. This is the explanation given by Tabitha. Quote, since Hecuba took away Kay's soul, it must be held by the forces of darkness. So they're communicating through it and using their energy to lead us in the right direction. I had to rewind it like 3 times because I was like, what?
You know, it's as good an explanation as any in Passions, I guess. It's fine.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I said after I came to terms with it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's better to just accept and move on than try to make sense of it.
Yeah, so we're at acceptance on this one. So Kay's soul is being controlled by the demons in the deep, and they're channeling their power through it to lead Tabitha to the evil object. So she's like, all right, we're off. But just then, Reese walks in and it's like, aha, I got you. Here's the proof. You're a witch, Tabitha. And then the necklace is still glowing and it's still like floating, but then it drops, right? And Jessica comes in after Reese because she's been following Reese around this whole time. Like, leave Tabitha alone. Tabitha's not a yeah.
She's just a weird old lady. Leave her alone, her doll. Or
yeah. So Jessica comes in. Reese says, I've got her. I got her dead to rights. That necklace that she's wearing was floating and it was glowing. And Tabitha says, oh, it was just, you just thought it was floating because I was spinning around really fast.
Like, I'm just imagining her just spinning in an empty room with a lifeless doll. Like, it's just... She's more than weird. She's insane. Like, from Jessica's perspective, if I heard that, I'd be like, no, this lady is not just weird. She's crazy.
Yeah, like, she said she was just spinning around, and the inertia or whatever is what Reese witnessed. You know, the chain just whooshed out. And then he says, well, why was it glowing? How do you explain that it was glowing? Also, she wasn't spinning around. He saw her standing
She was standing perfectly still. Like, why are you lying right now? And it's like not even a good lie.
Well, I like the lie, whatever. The lie is terrible. But the fact that Reese kind of went along with this explanation when he watched her stand there while the thing was, she wasn't moving.
I think Reese at this point is also starting to break down because he, like, these constant explanations and lies and stuff, maybe they're getting to him. So maybe that's why he went along with it. At least that part.
Maybe. I don't know. But he's still very staunchly like Tabitha's a witch.
Yes.
But
definitely.
he says, how do you explain that it's glowing, that it was glowing? And she says, well, it was the moon reflecting. It was a reflection from the moon. And Jessica is like, yeah, it's probably just a reflection from the moon. And Reese is like, no fucking way. But Tabitha kind of makes her escape very quickly. She runs out of there because she is terrified, honestly, and annoyed by Reese. But yeah. she runs out of there, and then the vial starts leading her down this hallway. And when she gets to the end of the hallway, she's like, what? There's nothing here. Why are you leading me down this hallway, Kay's soul, being guided by the demons? And then the wall very quickly spins around, and then the floor beneath her like gives out, and she's in this secret passageway. And then she finds herself inside of Hecuba's lair. That's where they are. They're back, right? So apparently Hecuba's lair was underneath the Crane Mansion this entire time.
And like, so when the Crane Mansion was built, like when was the Crane Mansion built? Let me just ask that. Like, did they ever explain that?
No.
You know, I'm just asking that, you know, just in case. Okay.
I mean, they talk about the Cranes having been there since like the Pilgrims' days. So, I mean, I'm sure the Crane Mansion wasn't there, but that's what they talk about. And also, I think Tabitha's been there for like 300 years. And she and Hecuba, according to these episodes, were in the town together, wreaking havoc. What's her name? Hecuba built that maze before the Crane Mansion was ever built. So I don't know, like less than 300 years. I don't know when the Crane Mansion was built.
Do you think the Cranes like purposefully built this like false flipping wall thing, or do you think that's something that Hecuba and Tabitha added later? And if so, how?
Well, now Tabitha never would have added it. If Tabitha knew it was there, Tabitha would have known it was there.
True,
you know what I mean?
So maybe just Hecuba.
But Hecuba may have. That's a good question. That's a very good question. Like, do the Cranes know that this is there? I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't think they do either, because if he knew, like, if they knew about the wall, they would know about other things later on that we're going to talk about. So
right, and there's no use. It doesn't look like it's ever been used or anything by them. Yeah. That's a good question. Well, Tabitha's in Hecuba's lair. That is inexplicably beneath the Crane Mansion.
Just because.
So she's down there and she's like, oh, of course, this is where the vial was leading me. There must be something in here that can help me, that can help. Does she just, and this is a part that I didn't understand, did she just give up on the object after a while and we just decided we were just going to go with the mist and the maze?
I think she gave up on the object the same way she gave up on the divining rod. And they just both disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, she's in there and like for one scene, they're looking around for stuff. And then she notices, honestly, I don't even know what it was that she was looking at because it was just the wall, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, Hecuba's maze," but it wasn't a maze; it was a wall.
It was like a drawing of a maze. I think it was a drawing of a maze on the wall.
And so then we get this lore about this maze that Hecuba created long before the Crane Mansion was ever built, and how it concentrates evil and bad thoughts, and any couple that goes into it is doomed and will be torn apart. So we learn about that. Okay. Then Timmy knocks over like a bottle of something, and Tabitha thinks it's like poison at first. She's like, oh no, Timmy. Oh, because they get trapped down there.
Oh yeah, the door just closes behind them inexplicably.
Yeah, and she's like, I can't get out. Even though she said open sesame to open the door, it closed behind them, and she never even tried to say open sesame.
Yeah, this is like a running theme in these couple episodes. Like, Tabitha just seems to not really... Like, her response to being trapped inside of here for potentially all eternity seems very subdued. Timmy is the only one who really seems to care about escaping.
Yeah, she really resolves herself to like, well, that's that. We can't get out of here. We're stuck for all eternity. And Timmy's like, that can't be true. And so he does a lot of different things. He finds like a magic wand and finds a wizard hat, or cap. And he like starts trying to make spells or cast spells to get them out of there.
Nonsensical spells.
Yeah. And the first spell, he says a bunch of things that don't work. And then he says a spell. Did you write it down?
Yeah, I did. He says, get them out of there before we run out of air.
But it doesn't get them out of there. What it does is bring Julian into the lair.
Which doesn't make any sense at all, because, like, in what part of this spell did he say, Julian, come down here right now? Like,
and then Julian is instantly transported from the party where he's talking to Rebecca about how he hasn't seen Tabitha in a while, and he's like, I wonder where she is with her little sidekick. And Rebecca's like, it's a doll, it's not a sidekick, it's just a doll, it's not alive. So then Rebecca like turns her back, he gets transported down into the lair, he sees Tabitha and Timmy. He starts chasing Timmy around. He's like, I'll catch you, and that'll be my proof that you are alive. He starts chasing Timmy around this lair, and then Timmy poofs him back upstairs. And then he's immediately right back where he was. And like no time has passed. Rebecca is saying like, you're really scaring me. Like,
yeah, and honestly, from Rebecca's perspective, I understand. Like, this man is just talking about how this doll is alive and talking about how he just teleported somewhere. Like, put the drinks down, sir.
Yeah, well, and so she didn't even notice him being gone. Like, no time had passed for her. She had her back turned to him, getting some punch. He disappeared. She was still getting punched when he came back up into the same place where he was. So, in her mind, he clearly had not been anywhere.
Exactly.
And then Timmy turns Tabitha into a mouse. There was no rhyme or reason. There's no reason for it, just for cuteness, I guess. Because after some time, after a few scenes, he just turns her right back.
Yeah, like, it doesn't really accomplish anything.
No.
Now, before we go to the next part, I think that the evil object actually might have been the vial full of mist.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It probably was.
Yeah.
They didn't say that, but it probably was.
I think they implied it, or maybe it was just a happy coincidence, but
yeah, because he knocks over the vial of mist, and Tabitha's like, at first she thinks it's poison and they're gonna die, and then she realizes, oh no, this is the mist that Hecuba and I created many years ago, and we would just release it and let it wreak havoc on the town, and then sit back and cackle like the witches we are.
Does the mist dissipate? Do you put the mist back in the vial?
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to keep watching to find out.
Yeah, because like it made it sound like they, do this, for kicks. So like multiple times.
I remember this mist plot line. I remember it being like a big deal, and like, but I don't fully remember all the things that happened, and I don't remember how it ends at all.
It probably ends like how a lot of these plots do.
Fizzles.
It just fizzles out, and everybody forgets, and nothing happens.
Nobody learns a lesson.
Yeah, no, we've learned nothing.
Yeah,
at least we learned nothing.
It's it's probably gonna end like Hell Night. Yeah, it's probably gonna end up like that, where the mist dissipates or whatever, and maybe everybody just forgets, or they just decide they had like a mass hallucination, because they've done that too before to like explain things away. They'll say everybody had a mass hallucination.
That's terrible. I mean, for some of these things that happen, I guess that's like the only way that any of this could make sense in their minds.
Yeah. So, I just want to say, finish up with Timmy and Tabitha real quick before we get to like the couples who are dealing with the mist and the maze. So Timmy and Tabitha are like watching everything in this pool of water. So as the mist goes up, it's starting to wreak havoc on different things, on different couples, and we'll talk more about that. But they also see Reese like looking around for them, and Tabitha decides to mess with him. Which, does Tabitha have powers or not?
It's really unclear.
It is. It's so unclear, because Tabitha literally sends a cat up to Reese. It's like in front of Reese, and it's a cat, and and that's enough magic for me to be like, wow, she's got power.
Yeah,
right?
just like make a cat appear.
But then he sees the cat, and then the cat turns into a lion, and it's roaring, and it's chasing him. And I mean, that's big magic.
Seems like magic to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she found like some magic dust, I guess. So she can still use magic objects, I guess.
You know what? Maybe that's how her powers work now. Like, she can't create magic from nothing, but she can like use magical objects.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
So maybe it was the magic dust that helped.
Yeah, because there's like a lot of magic stuff in that little like prison they're in. So.
Yeah. Their magic prison.
Yeah.
Enchanted prison. And so she sends a lion after Reese, who like is running away, and then runs into Jessica and is like, there's a lion on the loose. And Jessica's like, I knew they had guard dogs, but I can't believe they have a guard lion. And then she turns around and she sees it's not a lion, it's a cat. And she says, is that the lion you were talking about? That's a house cat, buddy. And he's like, no, I swear to you, it was a lion. And she says, I think the fog is just playing tricks on your mind.
Yeah, that's what I would say too.
Yeah, and then he decides he's going to keep searching for Tabitha. She decides she's going to go back to the party. Who cares? So what? Who cares?
Who cares at this point? I think it's so funny that they make the unlikable characters the only ones who really know about Tabitha and Timmy.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be by design.
It's definitely got to be by design, because if somebody we actually liked knew about Tabitha and Timmy and was constantly getting thwarted, we would probably be really upset.
Not only would we be upset, but these characters don't carry a whole lot of weight. Like, Julian does in some sense, but not really. Everybody thinks he's a buffoon. Like, literally everybody thinks he's a buffoon. A buffoon. And Reese, nobody ever listens to Reese because he's nerd boy, right?
Yeah.
They just don't listen to him. So, but other characters say we had Sam walking around saying this, more people would put stock into it.
Yeah,
Louise, even Sheridan, they would gaslight the shit out of Sheridan.
Dang.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't believe Sheridan. Nobody ever believes Sheridan. Poor thing. All right, so you got anything to add to that before we move on?
No, I'm good.
All right, we're moving on to our couples, all of our younger couples. So they're all at the party at the mansion. First, let me say that Chad says to Whitney that he wants to tell Simone the truth about them right now. Whitney says, no, not in front of all of these people. Meanwhile, Simone is across the party hanging out with Kay. It's like, if you think you're on a date with somebody, maybe you should be with that person. You know?
Just a suggestion. You know?
Like, if you think you're having like a romantic, like she thinks she's having like a romantic date with Chad to this ball, basically. And she's not spending it with him. She's hanging out with Kay, of all people.
What kind of date is this?
It's not a date, is it? You know.
Oh, well, yeah.
But
even, she doesn't know that.
Right, she doesn't know that. So, she is like mooning over Chad to Kay, saying that he's her boyfriend and that he loves her and she can't wait to dance the night away with him. But he's telling Whitney, we got to tell your sister that I do not love her and I don't want anything to do with her and that it was all a mistake. Whitney says she doesn't want to tell her in front of all the people. I understand that. I totally understand that. Like, no, this isn't necessarily the time, especially since y'all let it go so far for so long at this point.
Yeah, and y'all are in the wrong for that.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, Ethan is struggling with being back at the Crane Mansion. He says that he's just having all of these memories of the house being decorated for parties and things like that and how it used to be his home, and just being reminded that all of that was torn from him in such a public and painful way. And he was saying it really hurts. And he says, I'm going to stick around for Sheridan and Louise, of course, but it really hurts being here. And it was a vulnerable moment from Ethan that I appreciated and I liked.
I really felt for him in that moment.
Yeah.
Because it's rough. You
Yeah.
know? It's rough for him.
Yeah. And it was I understood. They actually gave him something other than like brattiness. Because a lot of times it's just like, I was a Crane and now I'm not a Crane and I'm gonna destroy whoever ruined my life. And instead of saying like, this is I'm in pain, this hurts, and these are the reasons why this hurts. Like, this was my life. He says I loved living here. And I get that would be hard for somebody.
Yeah. He's getting past the surface level anger and the brattiness and actually getting to how he actually feels.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
And think about it. That would be rough. I think I didn't give Ethan quite enough credit when all this shit happened, because he did have to go from living in a mansion to sleeping on the pullout at Teresa's house.
Yikes. What a glow down.
Yeah. Yeah, a major glow down. So that would be rough. He's homeless. He's homeless. He's an unhoused person.
And yet he thinks he can afford a wedding?
Well, that's why they're having this double wedding, to save on money. These people shouldn't be getting married. They should not be getting married. But anyway, he's talking about how all these things hurt, blah, blah, blah. Teresa comforts him. It's very lovely. She's a lovely girl. She's a lovely lunatic, but lovely girl. And then I think it's Teresa that suggests they go out for a walk. She's like, why don't we get out of here? Let's go for a walk on the grounds. And they invite Chad and Whitney. And then, of course, Simone is like, I would love to go for a walk, Chad. Bless her heart. I'm like so embarrassed for her.
Yeah. It's like painful watching that. Every time she just like runs and cuddles up to Chad, I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
I just recoil.
I'm so embarrassed for her, because think about, once all of this does come out, you know, she's going to be thinking about all of those times where she called him her boyfriend and he was not her boyfriend. Like, how embarrassed. Oh, I'd be so embarrassed, honey. Bury me. Bury me. Put me away. I don't want to be seen or perceived by anyone.
Also, I would be so, like, once I get past the embarrassment, I would be so extremely furious. Like, why did you let me think this for so long? What is wrong with you people?
Yeah. You're bad people.
Yeah.
You need to leave. That's what I'm saying. But, so all of these couples decide they're going to go out for a walk. It's Ethan and Teresa, Chad, Whitney, Simone, Kay, Charity, Miguel. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's everybody.
That's everybody. All the kids. And leaving poor Jessica behind. Poor Jessica gets the short end of the stick all the time. But at least she didn't have to go deal with this fucking maze. So
yeah, that's true.
Ethan says, I know the perfect place for us to go to. He says, it's a place where true love is revealed and those who are meant to be together are brought together. Also, it's where lies and secrets are exposed, as are the liars and the secrets. That's a direct quote. That is his description.
We rewound to get that whole quote. Also, okay, guy, that's very specific. Why do you even know about this? This is so weird.
Well, why is that the description? I know why he knows about the maze. You know, it's on the Crane grounds. Of course he knows the maze is there. Why is that the description of the maze? I'm going to read it one more time. It's so long. And just imagine Ethan saying it. I know a place. It's a place where true love is revealed and those who are meant to be together are brought together. Also, it's where lies and secrets are exposed, as are the liars and the secrets. Why is it so long?
I don't know. And I think another thing that makes it really funny is that when you watch him, when you hear him say that in like 1.5 speed.
Oh, yeah.
It's hilarious. Like, I don't know. Like, watching it sped up is just super funny for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, long sentences like that, it's golden.
Yeah, it was very comical. But I think... I can't watch. I mean, I can watch it regular speed, but it takes so long. It takes so long to watch all these episodes at regular speed because they just like do so much recap. Although I feel like this week I could have watched it regular speed because there was a lot going on.
And honestly, when we finished like these episodes, like I was actually like wanting to see what was about to happen because we leave off on a cliffhanger. Well, as usual, but like an actual good cliffhanger.
Yeah. Okay, so turns out this place is Hecuba's maze. That is what he's talking about. They get out to the maze, and everyone's actually has some trepidations about going into this maze. They're just like, well, because of the description.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go in that maze either.
Because of the description. So, Teresa's like worried about like lies and liars and being exposed by going into this maze, and what's that girl's name? Charity's worried that Kay and Miguel are gonna hook up because she keeps seeing this vision of them kissing inside the maze, and everybody's just a little worried about it. I mean, Chad and Simone and Whitney are kind of worried about it because they're black people, and they're just like, I mean,
anything could happen in that maze.
Y'all not getting me in this maze in the middle of the night. I don't even like going into like the corn mazes in the broad daylight.
I don't blame you. Too many bad things happen.
I do not care for that. So I would certainly not, you would not see me going anywhere near a maze where he says is like a mystical maze in the middle of the night. Hard pass. He says that you can't even see the inside from aerial views. Like if you get lost in there, you're lost in there.
You're done.
So honestly, it makes sense that these kids for once are making sense and like, maybe we shouldn't do this. And the grown adult male with them, the man with them is like, no, it's going to be fun. Let's go.
It's fine. Why is this your idea of fun?
You know, I mean, I guess it's a maze. I people like mazes. I don't like a maze.
I don't like mazes where it's implied that if you have a secret, you'll be like subjected to eternal punishment or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, because Teresa sees that there's a plaque that's like covered up by like vines, and she clears that off, and the plaque says, "Enter here only those pure of heart, pure of intentions, and love, and those with nothing to hide." Like, I know it doesn't make sense, but that's a quote. That's a direct quote. I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, but it didn't feel like it sounded right as it came. Did it make sense as I said it?
It didn't really. It's not worded great, but
Enter here only those pure of heart, pure of intentions, and love, and those with nothing to hide. All others, may God have mercy on your soul.
Like, no, thank you, ma'am. I am leaving.
Hard pass, because what is the maze maker's like definition of pure intentions?
Yeah. Like, what is this? Like, I don't know, man.
It's up for interpretation, and but
And I don't think I want my life being up for interpretation.
Then there's like another layer to this where Ethan says there's a love square at the middle of the maze, I guess. Which, why wouldn't it be at the end? Like, why wouldn't it be at the end?
Well, I think some mazes are structured to have like a kind of like a string in the middle of them. So.
Yeah. So that's the love square. But it seems like you would have to make it out of the maze, not to the middle of the maze.
I don't know. Maybe. Actually, another thing doesn't make sense. I know we never even resolved the first thing, but the way this maze is supposed to be structured is like, Ethan says this later, like, the couples can't go in together. Right. They have to go separately, and they can't, like, they have to get to the love square on their own, basically, and meet up at the love square. So, and if the love square is in the middle, shouldn't one person be at one side of the maze, like one entrance, and the other person be at the other side, and then they both meet in the middle? Like, I feel like that would make more sense than whatever they're doing here.
This maze has to be absolutely fucking insane, because Ethan says everybody has to go in separately, right? The couples have to go in separately. 5 seconds in between. 5 seconds. That's it. 5 seconds. It only took 5 seconds for them to be completely lost away from each other. That's
insanity.
Nuts.
Well, if the maze is mystical, then the walls probably like shift around and stuff.
Yeah, they probably do move. Yeah. That would be interesting if they move around.
Terrifying too.
Yeah, horrible. I don't want to go in this maze. No. Hard pass. Diamond hard pass. But yeah, he convinces everybody to go into the maze. Everybody's like, yeah, let's do it. It'll be fun. So then they all just start wandering around this maze. The couples all at one point meet each other, but they're not in the love square, so then they have to separate again. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
And then on top of it, Ethan doesn't even know what the love square looks like.
No, he does. No, Ethan does know what I'm going to stick up for my man right now.
You gonna stick up for him?
I'm going to stick up for him right now. He does know what the love square looks like, because at one point, he and Teresa and Chad and Whitney get to a space that Teresa, Whitney, and Chad all think is the love square, and he tells them, no, this isn't the love square, because in the love square there's a bench.
But wasn't there a bench at another point?
But he didn't see that. So that's what I was saying when we were watching. I was like, okay, are Miguel and Kay in the love square? Because they're sitting on a bench. Like, are there multiple benches? Is there only one bench in this maze? That's the prize. You get to sit the fuck down.
I mean, sounds like a pretty good prize to me. You've
Yeah,
been walking for a long time.
My feet hurt.
Let me sit down.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. So he does know what the love square looks like. Well, he just knows that there's a bench in it.
Okay. So were they in the love square or not?
No.
If there was a bench there.
Well, I don't know if Kay and Miguel were. They were on a bench. But there was no bench where Ethan, Teresa, Chad, and Whitney were, right? Well, in the midst of all this, the mist appears.
Ooh.
Okay, the mist starts bubbling up to the surface. At this point, Ethan has like made everybody break up again, which again is so stupid. If you find each other in the maze, that should be good enough.
Yeah, that should
now
count.
we work together to find the love square and get there
Yeah.
together. But you have to get to the love square at the same time, but separately. I just don't get it.
And I feel like
The rules are terrible.
meeting your partner in the love square, I mean, not in the love square, in the love maze, I guess, and finding them in there and then working together, you know, playing off of each other's strengths to find the love square, I feel like that's more of a testament to the strength of y'all's relationship.
100%. I agree with you. Yes, that's a good take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So meanwhile, the mist starts coming up, and it makes Charity's like visions go haywire. She starts seeing visions about absolutely everybody. She sees a vision first of Ethan like yelling at Teresa, but she doesn't know what about. But he's just yelling at Teresa that she lied to him and he never wants to see her again. Then she sees a vision of Simone yelling at Whitney, saying, "Back off, Whitney. Chad is mine. He loves me. Leave him alone. And if you don't, you will be sorry." Very threatening. Then she sees a vision of Kay and Miguel making out, which she had already been seeing that vision.
Yeah.
Right? So, and she also was still seeing that vision of Sam and Ivy. So she's just seeing everybody's like turmoil.
I'd be having a migraine at this point.
This poor girl needs to be in a hospital. She needs to be in a hospital. If she's having these like really strong psychic visions that are like interrupting her life, she's passing out all the time. She doesn't remember being in hell, which is insane. She should be in a hospital.
Yeah.
Like she should be on she should be on a psych ward somewhere, honestly.
She has a lot of issues.
She has a lot of issues that need to be addressed. I mean, I don't care for Charity, but poor thing.
Yeah, but we all know that none of that will be addressed. She will just maybe marry Miguel if nothing goes wrong, and love will conquer all.
Huh. Nah. Nah, that's not gonna happen. So let's
Kay's gonna
girl,
get her little win.
all of this shit is crazy. Like Kay, Miguel, Charity, this stuff goes on for like the whole show.
Insanity.
It is insanity. So what's her name? Charity finds Simone and Miguel and Kay, and the other couples find each other again, but still they're not at the love square, so they like have to break up. But Charity is like, "I'm done. I do not want to play this game anymore." She tells Miguel, and Miguel says to her, "You're right. This game's no fun without you." He wanted to just hang out with Charity. And he doesn't like having to wander the maze without her, which honestly, I get it. I get it, Miguel. What, like, I wouldn't want this either.
Wandering around alone is not fun.
No. And so they sit down, they talk. She tells him that she's having these really horrible visions. She tells him about every vision she saw except for the one about him and Kay. And he, again, like reassures her. He says everything's going to be fine. Nobody ever listens to her, which is also very annoying because she usually is right. Whenever she has visions, they're like pretty spot on. And but nobody ever, they always just tell her that she's just tired. I think he told her she was tired this time.
Gee.
Didn't he?
I think so.
I think he was like, "You're just tired. Let's rest. Let's take a moment." And they sat on the bench.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "Is this the love square?"
And then it wasn't.
I don't think it was. I don't know. But that's another thing. None of them, the only person who knows what the love square looks like is Ethan. Unless there's a big sign that says love square.
I don't know. I mean, he only said there was a bench. So.
Love square, baby.
Unless the bench says love square.
Okay.
I don't know.
The bench might say love square. Yeah.
I don't know.
We've been saying love square a lot.
We have been saying love square.
Love square, baby, love square. You don't know that song, do you? Love Shack? Yikes.
I'm sorry.
Ugh.
I'm young.
To be young. All right. So, whatever. They all split up again. Charity decides that she does want to play the game. She's like, I was just being silly before. Let's play the game. Whatever. So, now we have to talk about the tabloid reporter who has shown up to the engagement party because he's decided that he's going to go with this story about finding out who sent the email about Ethan's paternity to the tabloid in the first place. So he decides he's going to go to the party, ask around, see if show the email address, see if anybody recognizes it, right? Of course, the first fucking person he runs into is who? Gwen. The first person he runs into is Gwen, and she's like thrilled to see him. Mm-hmm. And we have a moment where I was like, I know for a fact that this is not how this happens. But the way Passions set it up made it seem like this was absolutely how it was going to happen. Like it even kind of fooled me. Because I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Even though I know exactly how all that information actually comes out. I know exactly how it happens. And Passions actually got me. Because I was like, wait, it's happening now? So, but it was all a daydream. And I'm going to tell you the daydream, but I'm going to tell you ahead of time that it was a daydream. It's a courtesy that I'm giving to you that Passions did not give to me. So he says to Gwen, and this is like right before the daydream starts. He kind of says to Gwen, like, do you have any idea or any suspicions about who would have sent this email? And then she goes into her daydream. She says, I can tell you exactly who sent it. You're not going to believe it, though. It's going to knock your socks off. It's the last person you would ever expect. His fiance, Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald. And then Ethan and Teresa show up, and I was like, wait.
Because it seemed like they had just teleported from the maze.
I was like, so are we done with the maze? The way they did this was so annoying. I was like, so we're done with the maze? Like, what? And Ethan and Teresa show up. The tabloid reporter hands the email address to Ethan. He looks at it, and he's like, oh, my gosh. And he hands it to Teresa, and he's like, you lied to me, Teresa. I can't believe it. You're the one who sent the tabloids my paternity results or whatever. And he's like yelling at her, tells her to get out, even though it's not his house to tell anybody to get out of anymore.
Actually, you're right about that.
He says, he'll never forgive her, blah, blah, blah. And then we see that it's all Gwen's daydream, and she never actually said Teresa was the person that she suspected of this. And then she says, but you should talk to Ethan. Like, talk to Ethan about this. He wants to know who sent the thing to the tabloids too. So y'all should work together. The tabloid reporter is like, well, the last time I'm not his favorite person. He keeps assaulting this man. Honestly, every time he sees him, he like hems him up against a wall.
Well, I was gonna be on Ethan's side until you said that, but
right.
Assault isn't okay.
No, it's not okay. Especially the way he did it the last time. It was he basically like assaulted the man, grabbed him, pushed him up against some lockers, and then was like, I can do this because I'm a lawyer and my dad's the chief of police.
Please.
It was real nasty. So anyway, they go off looking for Ethan. They find out that Ethan had gone off to the maze. So they too go to the maze and find their way into the maze. Gwen finds Ethan first. How did they get separated? Like, they weren't doing the love maze thing.
Maybe no.
Why wouldn't they have stayed together in the maze?
Because I was going to say, like, maybe they saw the plaque, but the plaque doesn't say anything about the instructions of the maze. Yeah. So, I don't know.
And even if they did, they're not a couple. Just go into the maze and find who you're looking for together. But they are separated. Gwen ends up finding Ethan, and the tabloid reporter ends up finding Teresa. And again, the mist is coming up. we're going somewhere with this, but we don't really get very far with it. Ethan can overhear the conversation between the tabloid reporter and Teresa, but nothing has really been said yet. And Gwen doesn't say anything to Ethan, really, does she?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he just is like, "What are you doing here?" And she has no explanation.
She's just kind of like,
yeah, she just stands there.
So yeah, we haven't gotten far with that plot thread yet.
Yeah, so that's where we kind of end off with them in the maze. Do we have anything else to add with the kids in the maze? The mist. Oh yes, actually. So the mist starts getting thicker inside the maze, and everyone starts to have like some weird visions. Chad mistakes Simone for Whitney. These are very important. Chad mistakes Simone for Whitney, sees her standing there, and is like, "I love you." Ooh. He tells her he loves her, and then kisses her. Then Whitney sees a vision of Chad's room, goes inside, and he's just sitting on the bed, and he looks at her and says, "What are you doing here, Whitney? We agreed that we shouldn't see each other anymore." So that's actually where we leave it off with them. And Charity sees Kay and Miguel kissing on a bench, which we don't know if that's real or not.
Yeah.
And we don't know if they're on the love bench or not.
So
Is that the love square?
Yeah, we just don't know a lot of things right now with that.
Yeah. Left us clueless, honestly. All right, moving right along, honey. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We're going into these troubled marriages, like a bridge over troubled marriages. I will lay me down. You don't know that either, do you? Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there used to be this commercial for this singer called Anne Murray. And your mom and I used to love, I don't know why we love this commercial so much, but we used to sing all of those little songs, and that was one of them. So, anyway, like a bridge over troubled water, troubled marriages. Okay, so again, everybody's at the Crane Mansion for this ridiculous party.
Yeah.
Ivy attempts to woo Sam. Let's pick up with Ivy and Sam. She's wearing jasmine. Remember I said that Charity kept smelling jasmine?
Oh, yeah.
Jasmine and Temptation. Well, she was smelling Ivy, basically.
It was just Ivy.
It was Ivy, the temptress. Did I say temptress?
Yeah,
Is that right? Temptress.
No, it's temptress.
Temptress. The temptress Ivy. And she's wearing jasmine. She says, "I know it was always your favorite scent on me, and I know it reminds you of our past together."
She's really laying it on thick.
And then they kind of go out into the courtyard and sit on a bench that is not the Love Square bench. But they're having a conversation, the same old conversation. But it reminded me, like the scenery and everything reminded me of the scene in The Sound of Music that I am 16 going on 17. You don't know that either, do you?
No, I feel like you're doing this on purpose at this
Delicate as a rose. I almost think they did it on purpose, that scene looked like the 16 going on 17, because they were kids when they were just kids when they got together.
Yeah.
What's that song? You don't know that one either. You might know it though.
I probably don't.
We were just kids when we fell in love. What's that song? I'm singing it wrong.
I don't know.
Whatever. Somebody tell me. I can't remember. We were just kids. Whatever. But they're on the bench and they're talking about how things ended between them. Sam's getting more and more agitated as this night goes on. He's getting more and more angry. He's starting to say more and more hurtful things. He said, and Ivy is taking it all on the chin. Okay, she's taking it, and because she'll do anything to get Sam back. She'll endure absolutely anything to get him back. And he says to her that if their love was true love, nothing could have torn them apart. Huh? What? You know what? I was in love with my ex-boyfriend. You know why we're not together?
Why?
Because he lives in Ohio.
Well,
What are you gonna do?
Like,
that's true love right there.
The
What are you gonna do?
expectations of love in this show are insane.
Yeah, it's
like
the love has to be pragmatic.
yeah, it has to be practical. It can't just be, well, love is all we need. We don't need money, air, anything.
No,
just love.
Just love. Y'all gonna be two loved up corpses. That sounds bad. That sounds like necrophilia or something.
I wasn't even thinking that. Why'd you have to like? Terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah. So he tells her nothing could have kept them apart. Not her parents, not his parents, not Julian, not Alistair. Nothing could have kept them apart if their love was real love, like his love for Grace. Okay, if you say so, buddy. Okay, so Sam is ready to leave the party. He's like, I'm leaving. I have a date with my wife. I told her I would take her out to dinner. And Ivy says, no, you have to stay here because you have to prove that you're not in love with me. Just like Grace said, you have to do this stupid fucking thing.
Like, I feel like at this point he has proved. I feel like he's proved it at this point. I don't know.
He ain't proved shit. I'm sorry. I mean, he said a lot of stuff. But I'm looking at him and the way, like, if he really didn't love Ivy, I feel like he would be less bothered. The way he was, like, talking about the way they broke up and how things ended between them, he was clear. He clearly is still very hurt by it and has not resolved those particular feelings. No, I'm not saying it's necessarily that he's still in love with her, but the pain is rooted in his love for her.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think on the other foot, like, Ivy doesn't want to have that conversation with him. She wants to get back together with him, not process the relationship that ended.
True.
So they're going to constantly be in this, like, back and forth because neither party really wants to talk about what needs to be talked about.
Very true. They're very much at odds and they're having two different conversations.
Yeah.
They're having two very different conversations. He'll say one thing, she doesn't respond to the thing that he said. She'll say one thing, he doesn't respond to the thing that she said. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So he's ready to leave, but she tells him she promises that she will tell Grace that he doesn't have any feelings for him if he comes up to her bedroom with him. If he comes up to her bedroom with her and proves to her that he feels nothing for her. Feels like a trap.
Seems suspicious.
It's a trap. It feels like a trap, buddy. He says it's very inappropriate for me to be going up to your bedroom. You know, I'm a married man. No, I don't. This is one of your tricks, Ivy. This is like, that's his new line. He's been saying, I'm tired of your tricks, Ivy. This is just another one of your tricks. And she's turning tricks. So, he says it's inappropriate, and she says, "Oh, your mind's in the gutter. I just want to show you more pictures of Ethan. Then go get them."
Yeah. There's no force field that's like stopping you from going up into your room and then coming back down the stairs and being like, here's the pictures.
Go get them. I'll follow you as far as the living room.
Yeah.
Go get the pictures and bring them back. But that's not what he does because he's an idiot. Sam's dumb. He's not as smart as you or I. He wouldn't dare just think logically and say, well, go get the pictures. I'd love to see them.
Yeah. It's just not in the cards for him.
No. So he follows her up to her bedroom. She opens her safe, which is where she keeps these pictures of Ethan. And she pulls out one picture. The first picture she pulls out is a picture of Sam and Ethan. It's a picture of Sam and Ethan when Ethan was younger. And she says that he sees it and he's like, how the hell do you have this picture? Like, when was this taken? How do you have this? And she says, 1 year during the fair, I sent Pilar with Ethan specifically to get a picture with you because I knew you would be working the fair. And I saw, which makes sense. Kids get pictures with police officers at places, you know, and things like that. So
yeah.
She sent Pilar with her son, and he asks her why she keeps it in the safe, and she says, well, if Julian had ever found it, he would have. I was worried that he would have immediately known that Ethan was your son. Now, let's dig into this picture because that picture, who was that person? It was a grown woman. It wasn't Ethan. It was like a 22-year-old woman in like a pink tank top.
Y'all couldn't have done any better than that. What is this random picture?
Who is this one? Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Who was that lady in that picture? It certainly was not Ethan Crane.
They just pulled a random picture and was like, okay, we can use this as a prop. It's the last second. We about to start filming. Let's go.
We have to have a picture of Ethan. Hey, you're a blonde small woman. Come be this little boy. What? It was crazy. Like if they were gonna do that, just don't show the picture.
Yeah, just
tell us what it is.
Yeah, like it's just insane.
It was horrible. I was like, who is this? That's not a child. It wasn't a child. It was a grown woman.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, that was the picture. And
the picture.
And Sam is like moved by this picture, first of all. Then she pulls out some more pictures and she hands them to him because he's like loving this one picture of Ethan, right? She hands these pictures to him, and it's pictures of the two of them, Ivy and Sam, together when they were younger. And he is pissed. He's like, this is just another one of your tricks, Ivy.
He got so mad that honestly, for a second, I thought he was going to like rip up the pictures.
And if he had, I would have said, that proves it for me. If he had ripped up those pictures with zero concern for how Ivy felt about it, I would have said, okay, he doesn't have any feelings for Ivy.
He feels nothing for her because he doesn't mind shattering her heart. He
at least performatively is showing her that he doesn't feel anything for her. And I mean, and that would be like a really cruel thing to do. I know this and understand this, but that is the only way he's going to get Ivy off his back is to be like very, like he's already been saying somewhat meaner things to her and having less and less regard for her feelings, but it's got to be something that's really going to tear her apart.
It's got to be something that you can't take back.
Yeah. And if he really, really, really wanted her to just call up Grace and say he definitely doesn't have any feelings for me, he should have torn up the pictures. Yeah, I agree. So, but he was pissed. He didn't tear them up. What he did was put them back in the safe.
Because, he
was like, these belong in the safe. These are the past, and these are not the future, and you're just holding on to the past. And they do. It's a cool scene, honestly. It's very high emotions. Let me see if I wrote any of it down. He says he gets upset, saying it's another one of her tricks. Ivy says they're just. Oh, this is what she says. She says these are just pictures. You have nothing to fear from some old pictures unless they're making you feel something for me in the present.
Ooh.
And he says these are our past. And the past is only alive because you're keeping it alive. And she says, I'm not keeping it alive. We are keeping it alive. It's the two of us together. You still have feelings for me that you will not admit, but just admit it. And he won't. He will not. She says, can't you feel the fire between us, Sam? She pulls him in for a kiss. A kiss. She pulls him in for a kiss, and he lingers right at her lips, and they touch lips. They don't kiss really, but they touch lips before he pulls back. Like, how'd you get that close to her face if you don't have any feelings for her, Sam? How'd you get that close to her face? Couldn't get me that close to Reese's face. Right? I have no feelings for him.
Nothing.
I feel disdain for him. Yeah. Couldn't get me that close to Reese's face. Couldn't get me that close to Julian's face. Couldn't get me that close to Sam's face. Shit. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. You absolutely could get me that close to Sam's face. He is hot. That man is fine.
Hot, but dumb as a box of rocks.
Ooh, and that's fine. That's okay. I don't need him to be smart because I don't want to marry him. I'm not interested in a marriage to Sam Bennett.
I mean, it doesn't really seem like he's doing too well with his marriage, so
no,
that's why it's a troubled marriage.
It's a very troubled marriage. So yes, they linger at each other's faces before Sam finally pulls away, saying, "You're trying to trick me." He says it again. You're trying to trick me, Ivy. This is just another one of your tricks. She says, she says to him, I will not stop until you tell me you love me too. Huh?
She's determined.
Forceful. Psychotic. A lunatic.
But hey, she was spitting straight facts for a while there.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Ivy makes good points. She's a smart woman. She's a smart woman having an argument with a dumb man. You know? She's gonna sound right, even if she isn't.
Yeah.
Because she knows how to talk circles around him.
Yeah. She's up against this completely stupid guy. So
yeah, it's not a fair fight.
no.
So meanwhile, while this is happening, the fog has reached as far as the Bennett home, and it has gone into Grace's bedroom where she's sleeping, which I thought that Grace was gonna be getting ready for her date with Sam. She and Sam were supposed to be going to get dinner. That was like the thing. Before he left, he was like, I'm not gonna stay at the party long. I'll be back. I'll take you to dinner. So I would be pissed about that. But she goes to bed because he clearly was late and didn't show up. So she's like writhing around in her bed. Sam, no. Sam, Ivy, Sam, no. And she's seeing this vision of Ivy kissing Sam at the party, right? So she wakes up and is like, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have sent Sam to that party by himself. I've got to go. I've got to go.
So dramatic.
So she throws on her ugliest black dress.
I just like the idea, like, I can't go over there looking cute. I gotta put on my ugliest outfit in the world.
It's like, put on a cute something nicer than this, especially since, whatever. Especially since you think that you're trying to compete with Ivy, you want to get your man back. You want to make. I'm not saying this right. Like if I caught my husband kissing another woman, I wouldn't want anything to do with him. I wouldn't give a fuck what he thinks I look like. You know what I mean? In that moment, but she seems to care a lot.
And you wouldn't show up looking ugly on purpose.
No.
You at least be looking passable.
I don't think Grace showed up looking ugly on purpose. I think she probably thought it was a pretty dress. It wasn't, though.
Wow.
And it's just funny, too, because she's in black and Ivy's in all white. Do you see that?
Oh,
you notice that?
That's like a cool little,
like, yeah, they put her in black
symbolism
and
thing.
Ivy's in white. And so she rushes over to the Crane Mansion. This was ridiculous. She rushes over to the Crane Mansion. She gets to the grounds, starts wandering around. I need to find Sam. Sam, where's Sam? He's in the party. Like, go to the front door. What are you doing?
Yeah, the fog's not that thick.
Yeah, she's like I guess they're trying to make us think that she's like lost in the fog, but she made it as far as the Crane Mansion from her house. You mean to tell me she can't make it up the driveway and into the house?
Yeah.
She's wandering the grounds.
Or at the very least, like, logically, you could trace around the side of the building until you get to the... I don't know.
Well, presumably she drove over there. So where'd you park? You know what I mean? Like, and this is a crane party, so I imagine they have valet. So you pull up to the front of the house, they take your car, and you walk in the front door.
What if she walked all the way over there?
I wouldn't put it past little Grace. I wouldn't put it past Gracie. I wouldn't.
Oh, that's terrible.
So she's wandering the grounds. Eve finds her wandering around, but it's not important because they don't stop to have a conversation, really. She just continues being hysterical and going.
Like, Eve tries to talk to her, but like she just kind of is like, no, I need to find Sam, and just brushes past.
Yeah.
Kind of in a dazed, confused state.
Yeah. Because at one point, she does ask Eve where Sam is. And Eve's like, I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while. Maybe he went home. Maybe he left. Because I think she was trying to get Grace to leave. And Grace is like, no, I just came from there. Except, no, you didn't. Because y'all don't have a home. You were staying at Tabitha's house. Y'all don't have a home. So you didn't go check the police station where he's been sleeping. You should have gone and done that, maybe. Although she's right to come to the Crane Mansion because it's the last place he was. But I'm just saying, she didn't check at home. He wasn't coming home. She was like, I would have seen him if he was coming home. No, you wouldn't have. Y'all don't live together anymore. You don't have a home. Don't have a house. So anyway, she's wandering around. She gets upstairs, but before she gets upstairs, we got to go back to what's going on between Ivy and Sam, because Sam is pissed that Ivy's tried to kiss him, right? And he's mad at himself. Let's be clear. Sam's mad at himself because he was tempted to kiss her. He's angry with himself because he does still love Ivy and he can't verbalize it. He wants to choose his wife. And I want to be clear. That is correct. That is the right way to write this. Like, sure, you can be in love with another person or find another person attractive, but you choose loyalty.
Yeah.
You choose monogamy. You choose your wife. And that's what he was doing in this moment. I got to give big up to Sam on that one at least. So he's pissed, right? He's going off on Ivy, telling her she's horrible. He doesn't love her. I love my wife. Leave me alone. Leave us alone. I never want to see you again, basically. And she says, like, very resolute. Like, she just goes into like a, because at first they were like having a very passionate back and forth.
Yeah.
And then she goes into kind of a quiet voice and she says, okay, Sam, I'll leave you alone. You'll never have to hear from me again. In fact, no one's ever going to hear from me again. She walks over to the window, opens the window, and like Sam just stands there. She literally just said suicide words. Maybe as a first responder, you should respond. Right? So he just stands there while she says these suicidal words, walks over to the window, opens the window, steps out of the window.
He's still standing.
Steps onto the ledge and says, if I can't have you, I don't have any reason for living. What about your 4 fucking children?
Doesn't care.
What about Ethan, who you're always talking about? You did all this for Ethan, right? Ethan's like your number one priority in life. She has 3 other kids that we never even talk about: Fox, Fancy, and Pretty. She has 4 children. You don't have anything to live for unless Sam wants to be with you, this man you haven't been with in over 20 years, who you lied to, and you're the reason he's mad is because you lied to him for the last 20-something years. Like,
come on.
I'm sorry, I love Ivy, but this part did not do it for me. Actually, I laughed.
Okay,
I laughed because it was
like left field too.
It was very abrupt. I believe what they were trying to show us is that it was the mist affecting her.
Was it?
I don't know.
I
because they didn't show the mist coming in until after she had gone out onto the ledge.
Oh.
Like they showed the mist. They did show anytime somebody's being affected by the mist, we see the mist. Mm-hmm. But we didn't see the mist until after she had gone out on the ledge and whatever, the thing that happened. So what happens is she jumps. Yeah. I thought she wasn't going to jump. She jumps.
I thought she was gone.
Yeah, she jumps. And Sam grabs her, catches her, and pulls her back into the building. What is it? A mansion. I was like, the apartment. Pulls her back into the mansion. And he's like, I thought that I was going to lose you. I was so scared I was going to lose you. Now, this is when we see the mist. And the mist is affecting this. Now, I do think that Sam really had these feelings, but probably he would never have verbalized them without the mist, right?
Like, I don't think I don't think the mist had to push him very far.
Right.
Like,
the mist really had just crept in. It didn't even really have a chance to work that well. So he's like embracing her, and then they kiss or are about to kiss, like they're on the verge of kissing, I guess. And Grace opens the door, and we see Grace in the background. We see them in the foreground embracing, maybe kissing. It was right at the cusp, and then it cut off, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like super, super clear.
Yeah, so that is what's going on with them. You have anything to add to those people?
I just think I'm just imagining like being someone like on the ground level, and you just see a window open and Ivy about to jump out, that she just gets yanked back in.
Yeah,
I would be horrified.
Ivy Crane throws herself to her death at her sister-in-law's engagement party. That's the headline.
What a headline.
Yeah. Jesus. Oh God. That's crazy. So let's move on and talk about Eve and TC. This one's actually kind of tough to talk about because it was such a mess.
Yeah, like there were whole episodes where like we didn't know what was going on. Like I think I might have said like, "Hey, where is TC and E? What are they doing right now?"
It was such a mess, but let's talk about it. So, TC and Eve are at this party like everybody else in town. And he starts telling her, first he's like doing that TC thing where he talks about how lucky he is, that he has the most perfect wife in Harmony, and his wife is so beautiful and so perfect and never lies and never keeps secrets, and she would never keep a secret from him, and that that Whitney is perfect just like her. No mention of Simone yet again.
They don't love her.
Poor Simone has no love in her life. Anyway, so he's talking about how perfect she is. She's a perfect wife. Then he talks about feeling guilty because he says he's keeping things from her about his past, specifically the stuff with Julian and why he hates Julian so much. She does not know, and you probably don't know this either, so I'm going to tell you. She does not know that TC blames Julian for the car accident that ended his tennis career. And by subsequently, this is canon in the show. It doesn't make any logical sense. But he also blames Julian for his father's death because he says that his father died of a broken heart because he couldn't play tennis anymore.
I feel like the first one is valid. Mm-hmm. The second one is a stretch.
Reach.
Like, dude, he won the mental gymnastics with that one.
Yeah. Reach for the stars. You don't know that song either. That's okay. I barely know it. I wasn't even singing it right.
Oh, that makes me feel a little better, actually.
Yeah, I think that's S Club 7. S Club. Damn it, Naya.
You gotta start playing.
Why you have to be 15 years younger than me?
I don't know. That's
just the way it works. That's the way the cookie crumbled, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nah. So anyway, yes, it's quite the reach. So he's telling Eve how he feels guilty that he's keeping these secrets from her. Then don't keep them.
Just say them.
Tell the truth. Tell her what it is. Tell her that she's your wife of 20 years. Tell her how you feel about Julian and why you feel that way about Julian. Like, what's the issue, bruh? What's the issue? So he then says, oh, she's super understanding. She's like, I know you'll tell me in your own time or maybe never at all. And I understand. Even though this man is literally always talking about murdering Julian, I would need to know why.
Yeah.
Like he's not.
That wouldn't sit well with me.
He's not just saying it flippantly. He's not just saying it as a figure of speech. He's saying it literally. I could kill Julian Crane. If I got the chance, I would murder Julian Crane. If he ever stepped out of line, I would murder. I'd strangle him with my own bare hands. I'd decapitate him and then spit on him and then bury him in our backyard where I could visit him and stomp on his grave.
And then he says this like every day.
Yes, he says it all the time. I would need to know why, because what?
I'm scared a little.
It's psychotic. And then you find out that it's because of tennis.
I'm not gonna lie, that'd be it for me. I don't know.
I do partially understand that he feels like the Julian is responsible for this car accident, and when we find out who actually is responsible, is so interesting. But yeah. But anyway, that's many years down the line. He's like, he's got murder in his heart and he won't tell you why. So she's very too understanding, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And then he says to her that he says, you're so understanding. I know that I wouldn't be so understanding if you were keeping secrets from me, especially about another man from your past.
It sounds like you want her to say something.
It sounds like you're a misogynist.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like. It sounds like
And homicidal.
And homicidal. Yeah. It sounds like you can be awful and horrible and have all of these horrible secrets in your past. Not that his secret is a horrible secret. It's not. That's another thing. It's not anything that he did. Yeah. I don't know why he's keeping it a secret.
And it's not like anything that would make Eve mad at him.
No.
Like, if anything, she would be mad at Julian, which isn't that great because y'all can hate him together. Like, sit there and hate.
Yeah. It's not anything she would be mad at him about. So, yeah. or even that would even upset her, really.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sorry that you were in this horrible car accident and that's awful. Yeah. And it's horrible that, Julian like staged this so that you wouldn't win that stupid match at the country club, some stupid local match. That's what you really want to murder him about?
Like, ew, that's a little intense.
It's a lot. But he says she's very understanding, and he could not ever be as understanding towards her. Fucking horrible. Divorce. Get a divorce.
Like, you just sat there and admitted that you are extremely toxic and a misogynist. Like, good job.
Yeah. That's grounds for divorce. I'm sorry. I just would not be married to this man at all.
No, I don't really see a reason to be married to him.
Yeah. But then later he tells her, I promise that I'm going to keep my temper in check, and she's like, what are you talking about? And he says, well, I almost killed Julian that last time at the hospital, which is true. He almost murdered Julian already.
Really?
Yeah. He strangled him. He strangled him at the hospital, but he was under like a Hecuba spell.
Oh.
But I mean, it doesn't matter because he's still what happened was Hecuba was like making his true feelings come out. Yeah. So
like with the mist, Hecuba did not have to push him very far.
Exactly. Yeah, he was already at the edge of that ledge.
Yeah.
Right? He was already at the cliff.
She gave him the smallest push.
Yeah, she just blew on him.
Yeah.
She just blew and he just went right over the edge. So, he says he's going to keep his temper in check, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Julian's like in his office listening to this tape of Eve singing that song. There's not 1 minute or two I could live without you. I like that song.
It is nice.
I feel your kiss at moments like this. I don't know the words, but I really like that song.
Did they make this song for the show? Or
Yeah.
is it like a...
Yeah, that's a show song. That's not like a standard.
Oh.
But I like it. Yeah. I like what they wrote.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So he's listening to this tape of her singing, and we're getting like little tidbits from Julian that we hadn't been getting before, because before they were making it seem like Julian really didn't love Eve. Like, he cared for her, but he didn't love her, and he chose himself over her and just left her and abandoned her. And we've gotten little things that showed us that he definitely had an attraction to her, but not that he loved her, right? Now it's coming out that he did love her. Like, he's saying, oh, Eve, if only I had stood up to my father back then, things could have been different between us. Like, he's like longing for Eve the way that Ivy longs for Sam.
Yeah.
Also, we need to talk about this timeline. And if I want somebody to explain it to me. Now, Ethan, we have stated, is about 25 to 27 years old, right? But Julian says that he had an affair, but Julian says that his relationship with Eve happened 20 years ago. They keep saying it was 20 years, and I don't know if they're trying to if it's just an estimate of like, it was about 20 years ago. But either way, it would mean that Julian was sleeping with Eve while he was married to Ivy. And I know I've brought this up before, but I'm still not clear. I'm less clear on it than I was back then, because did Eve and Julian have an extramarital affair while Ivy and Julian were together? But that's not the way it seems, because it seems like he was saying I needed to stand up to my father, as if he would have married Eve.
Yeah. And he wouldn't say something like that if it was just an affair.
Right. And that never came up. Like, well, you've already got a wife. In all the like flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah, like that's never a thing.
It's never come up that he's like, well, I would have to divorce Ivy. Ivy's never even a factor when we talk about Julian and Eve. So it seems like he married Ivy after being with Eve. But that would mean that Chad is older than Ethan.
And he is definitely not.
Right.
At least he doesn't seem like he is.
No, they seem about the same age, but they keep saying that the affair happened 20 years ago and that she lost her. She says it. I was at this hospital 20 years ago when she has a missed thing that we're going to get into. But it's 20 years. They're saying 20 years, which would make Chad 20 years old. But Ethan is about 5 years older than that. At least.
This timeline is all messed up.
Yeah, they didn't really put much thought into it the way that they should have. And I can't even blame this one on like, oh, this show wasn't meant to be watched like this, because that's like simple basics of writing and creating a narrative and a story.
Like it shows that there wasn't too much pre-planning.
Yeah. I wish they would have made a really clear, concise timeline.
Yeah. And then, flesh the story out around that. So at least the core, like there can always be plot holes, but like the core timeline makes sense.
Yeah. And it doesn't make sense for me, but whatever. So Julian's in his office listening to this tape of Eve singing. And then he laments not standing up to his father. He goes back out to the party, finds Eve, starts chatting her up. And she, of course, is like, are you crazy? If TC sees us together, he'll kill you.
Literally.
And he says tells her that he was just listening to her tape. And she says, why do you have that? Like, get rid of it. He says, oh, no, that's one of my prized possessions. I listen to it when I'm having like a hard time. If I didn't know that Julian was like trying to break up Sheridan and Luis tonight with like this imposter stuff, I'd feel real bad for him.
Yeah, it's like it's a moment of humanity from him.
Yeah, so he says it's like one of his prized possessions is like one of the few things that brings him joy in his life.
Which is just kind of sad when you think about it.
And then she walks away from him. Later, TC like storms over to her and is like, what did Julian want? I saw him talking to you. He touched your arm. Are you kidding? She says, we were talking about hospital business. It's not a big deal. And he's like, and that's when he says, he touched your arm. It's like, girl, divorce this man. Yeah. Divorce this man. Expedited divorce. It's expeditiously.
He has problems.
Psychological problems.
Yeah.
He's like, he touched my, like, chill the fuck out.
Like, last time I checked, it's my arm.
Also, you just told me you were going to keep your temper in check. What is this?
Yeah. He lied. That's what it is.
The boy's a liar. The boy's a liar. You know this one, though, right?
He doesn't see us.
Ah!
That doesn't count. That song came out like a month ago.
The boy's a liar. He's a liar.
He is a liar.
Wait, what'd she say? He said I'm good enough. None of my da-da-da.
Oh, yeah. We, like, looked up the lyrics to that song to see what Ice Spice was saying. And, yeah, some of it is just gibberish.
It's her going da-da-da.
Like, I thought it was going to be words.
He said, I'm good enough. What am I da-da-da? Okay. All right, girl. I'm still dancing. I'm going to still dance to it. Anyway. So, yeah, he's, like, yelling at Eve. He touched your arm. That should be the name of the episode. He touched your arm.
Yes, perfect. Because that just encapsulates.
He touched your arm. And it's just so funny to me. But anyway. She tells him it was just hospital business. He says he needs to blow off some steam, goes for a walk, and starts wandering around the mansion. And he hates Julian so much, but he goes to Julian's personal library, walks in, sees that tennis trophy from the tennis match that Julian won when whatever TC had the car accident, so he couldn't compete. Like, okay, I guess Julian I don't know. It just doesn't seem like that big of a deal to Julian. Like a tennis match from when you were like 19.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you have that up in your library if you're a billionaire?
No. Like, I would have to have had very few accomplishments in my life for that to, like, be something that I keep, like, on display.
And I'm sure Julian has, like, won lots of awards because he's a billionaire and he probably has bought lots of accolades.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just...
Maybe he keeps that because that's one of the few ones he's actually earned and didn't buy.
You know, maybe. You're right. You know what? That's good commentary. You're smart. Smart kid.
Thanks.
Smarty pants.
Smart aunt.
So yeah, thank you. He goes into the library, sees that trophy, grabs it, and he's like, club champion. That's bullshit. Like throws it. And then he like sits. Oh no, he makes himself a drink. He like drinks Julian's booze, sits down in one of his ugly leather chairs, sits down on like a remote control and grabs it and like pulls it out. It's like, throws it across the room. But accidentally presses play, I guess, on the tape that was playing in there. And it's Eve. I feel your kiss at moments like this. And this man, who has been married to this woman for 20 fucking years, goes, that voice. He has no clue who it is.
And that's just, you know what? That goes to show how much he doesn't truly care about her. Grounds
for divorce.
Gone.
Period. I'm sorry. You don't know what I sound like. You know what my voice sounds like? After 20 years, you've never heard Eve even hum. And actually, we know he's heard her sing a little bit because they talk about it like 300 episodes ago. He was like, you never sing around the house anymore, blah, blah, blah. And
even if he's never heard her sing, you can tell like when it's someone that you know and allegedly care about, you know, singing and talking, like you still know it's their voice.
Yeah, I would 100% recognize your singing voice.
Yeah, and I would too.
And I don't hear you singing all the time. You hear me singing all the time. You would definitely.
Yeah, because you can actually sing.
I'm just constantly singing around the house. But I would be. To me, it is suspicious that he doesn't recognize her voice. But anyway, they make it seem like he recognizes the voice. Eve is out in the hallway. She doesn't know that TC is in the library and is the person who's listening to this tape. She's out in the hallway and she hears her own voice. And she's like, that's my voice. That's that tape. I better go get it before TC hears it. She goes inside and there TC is standing there. And he goes, that voice. You hear that voice? To her, she's like, yeah, like, well, she of course is nervous because she assumes her husband would know what she sounds like.
Yeah, she assumes her husband loves her.
Yeah, but he doesn't. That man does not really love her, who she is as a person.
He just wants to own her.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. He wants to possess her and he wants her to be like his perfect wife. Yeah, and he wants to be able to say he has a perfect wife.
And one daughter named Whitney.
One perfect daughter. Yep. That and the other one.
Who?
What's that girl's name?
I don't know.
Shannon?
I think. Something like that.
Simeon? Is it Simeon?
Sally?
What did we name that girl? Oh, he probably wasn't even at the hospital when she was born. Anyway, so he was somewhere playing tennis with Whitney. Yeah. Like 3-year-old, 2-year-old Whitney forcing her to play tennis.
Yeah, I could see that.
We can't go meet your little sister. You've got to practice.
Now it's crunch time.
You're going to be the greatest tennis star that ever lived. Because I couldn't be. And I can't tell you why I couldn't be. Because it's a secret.
But I will project onto you and live vicariously through you.
Now swing!
Okay, Daddy.
So anyway, Eve thinks that she thinks she's caught, right? Because she assumes that her husband loves her, but he doesn't.
What a laugh.
He then, oh my God, this was insane, fucking bonkers. He says, you hear that voice? this voice makes me want to go out and kill Julian. He says, sorry. He says, this makes me want to go out there and strangle Julian and murder him. And Eve says, why? And he says, why would Julian have this tape? And we still have this. And Eve, poor Eve, is standing there still trying to figure out if this man knows it's her or not.
She's just standing on the precipice of disaster.
But Eve's so smart. And again, smart woman, dumb man, right? She's a smart woman. He's a dumb husband, right? And he says, just hearing the tape makes him want to kill Julian even more. And then he looks and he says, there's no name on this tape. And he says, the voice, he thinks he knows the voice.
You think?
He says, I think I know this voice. And he says, and I know where this tape came from and how Julian got the tape. And the thought of it just fills me with rage. And then the man says, he obviously made this tape, and the person who's singing on the tape is obviously in pain. And Julian probably had an affair with this woman and threw her away like garbage. And I want to find her, and I want to help her. How? You can't even help yourself.
Like,
No, you can't even help yourself. This man has a bum knee that he will not let his doctor wife look at. He will not let her examine his knee when it goes out. It locks up, seizes up on him. He falls to the floor and he's like, no, leave me alone, to his doctor of the year, Eve Russell wife.
well, you know what? He deserves to have his knee lock up.
He deserves worse. He deserves worse. Okay, so you're gonna find this woman and help her. You can't even help yourself. Number one. I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were gonna say something. What was it? Because I'm hot. I'm heated.
I'm just first of all, one, I don't even know how he got to that weird conclusion. And two, how are you gonna find this woman? This tape, he literally says this tape has nothing written on it. There's nothing written on, no date, no name, no anything. You don't know who the woman singing. What? None of this makes any sense.
Oh, Passions logic, I guess. I don't know.
What?
He's horrible. I'm sorry. They had given me a little reprieve from TC, so I had forgotten how much I dislike him as a character. But I can't stand him. And I feel like I say that specific sentence on this podcast a lot. I'm always saying I can't stand him. And it's either TC, Miguel, or and sometimes Sam.
Because they just
and Reese. Yeah.
They just do stuff.
Yeah, they're just doing stuff that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
And they're so dumb.
They'll do anything but talk honestly about their feelings.
So he's pissed. He says, I'm sick of this. I want to go home. I'm going to find Sheridan and Luis and tell them we're leaving. And he storms off. Eve gets that tape and pulls out the tape, destroys the tape. And she goes, damn you, Julian. And that's where we leave it with that. But TC goes looking for Sheridan and Luis. But instead he is wandering on the grounds. And there's the mist coming up. He trips. He falls. He bumps his head on a statue. Gets up. And his dead father's there telling him, basically, he goes, what? Well, this is a quote. He says, what the hell are you doing here at the Crane estate? And he tells him, you know what's going on. You just refuse to accept it. This is what his dead father is telling him. He's like, you know that Julian Crane ruins lives, and he's going to ruin your family if you don't do something about it. And you know what's going on, but you just refuse to see it. And then he says, you also know that Julian Crane should be killed. Okay. So, I mean, of course, either TC is, I don't know, the way Tabitha explained it, because Tabitha's watching everything and commenting on everything.
Yeah.
And her commentary on this was that was TC's dead father, for real. She was like, it's his father come back to life.
He's just back now.
But
will he leave?
Oh yeah. He's not really there. And so Like, is the mist, did the mist like create a ghost? Is it an actual ghost? Is it a vision that the mist is creating for TC? Or is it TC's own mind being affected by the mist and creating, like, projecting this?
That's what I thought it was. Like, I thought it was basically a hallucination.
Okay.
Like, it was something spawned from TC's mind.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That, and I would not have had this question had they not have Tabitha say this nonsense about it's his father.
Maybe she was just, like, literally stating, like, this is his father, and, like, not saying it like he's, like, actually alive, but, like, she's just saying, like, she's just narrating what TC is seeing.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll buy that. So his dad tells him he needs to kill Julian Crane, which, I mean, again, he didn't need much of a push, right?
Yeah.
Just a blow.
And you know what? That's kind of like another thing that kind of like makes me think that it's a hallucination, because his dad is just telling him what he wants to hear, which is killing Julian.
Yeah. So, it's just what he's been saying.
Yeah.
So, also, meanwhile, Eve is like looking for TC, and the fog affects her, and she finds herself transported back to the hospital. Where she gave birth and lost her baby, the son that died at birth, that she thinks died at birth. And that's really where we ended. She's in her little hallucination. He's having his. That's where we ended with the troubled marriages this week. You have anything to add?
You know, now that I think about it, as dumb as TC is, because he is, that whole thing that happened where he goes on that tirade about the tape or whatever, he was also weirdly close to the actual explanation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He was so close yet so far. Like, if he had just, like, made that final step and, you know, realized it was his wife, like a normal loving husband.
Yeah.
He would have put everything together.
Literally every single piece of the puzzle is in front of him. And all of the pieces are basically, it's like they're spread out, but they're in the right spot. All you have to do is, like, slide them.
Yeah.
And he still can't see it. He's an idiot.
Honestly, I feel like he wouldn't even be able to understand, like, literally just a completed puzzle in front of him.
No.
You literally have to spell it out for him. Like, yeah. But that's all I wanted to add.
Okay. All right. So, going on, we got to finish up with Shawise. It's their engagement party after all. So, we got to talk about
I forgot about that.
We got to talk about our engaged party. Or, I don't know why I said it like that. We got to talk. Well, I guess they are the engaged party.
Oh, right? Yeah, they are the engaged party.
The engaged parties or whatever. So, whatever. They're having a good time at this party. But Luis knows it's a setup. He's like, this is a nice party, but, and I think he says it to Pilar, but I suffer no illusions that this is real. Like, I'm on my toes. I'm watching. I'm making sure everything's okay, right? And he says whatever they're cooking up, it's not going to work, because Sheridan and I, we are in love and nothing can tear us apart. That's what he says. And then later they're enjoying the party, and Alistair comes over the loudspeaker and he says that he just called to tell his daughter that he loves her and that he wants nothing but her happiness, and he's glad that she's found happiness, and his happiness means everything to him. Sheridan is thrilled, overjoyed. Louise, skeptical, of course.
Yeah.
Because if you're so excited about my happiness, why aren't you here?
Why aren't you ever here?
At the party that you insisted we come to, that you insisted we have tonight when we just got engaged this morning. So why aren't you here?
Also, even if he was there, I would still be suspicious because of their track record.
Oh, yeah.
It's not great.
I mean, I told you last week that he didn't even come to Sheridan's funeral.
Just terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know how she has any love left for these people. It's really just sad.
It's so sad.
I feel for her.
I do feel really sad for Sheridan. It's just really sad and pathetic the way she will, like, basically take any little crumb and believe this nonsense. This is clearly a setup.
Yeah.
It's so obviously a setup.
And she's just running into it with open arms and a smile.
She just wants love from her family so badly, and it's so sad. So yeah, she's overjoyed. She's thrilled. She says to Luis, like, see, my dad does love me. He did change. He has changed. No, he hasn't. He's still not here, girl. If he had changed, he would have shown up to the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah. Or called you directly to congratulate you. He has not had a conversation with Sheridan since she got engaged. Right? You, like, from last week to this week, we've seen Julian and Rebecca talk to Sheridan and say, come to this party. Father wants you to come to this party. He's throwing it for you. But at no point has Alistair actually reached out to his own daughter.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And that should be clue number 1, Sheridan.
Come on.
Oh, God.
It doesn't make
She's
any
like,
sense.
I guess she's like, he's so busy. Billionaires are not actually busy.
Yeah,
they don't do any work.
Well, he was getting a little busy.
Yeah, yeah. He said that he was too wrapped up in like a business deal or something, and it was just him about to have sex with this lady. Yeah, it was gross. So, outside of the party, the imposter and Dee Dee are having a conversation that I thought was important and might still be important eventually, where Dee Dee, they're talking about Julian, and the imposter's like, be careful, you don't want to get on their bad side, but they do pay well. And Dee Dee's like, I'm not worried about Julian. He's a hypocrite, playing like he cares all about Sheridan when he's plotting to ruin her life. So Dee Dee's like showing how she feels about Julian. So she's not the loyal, like, henchman that they think they bought, you know. So she might spill the beans, I think.
We're seeing another dimension to her.
A dimension too.
Yeah, that's true. There wasn't really that much to begin with. So.
Yeah. So Alice is still like going on and on during the party about how much he loves Sheridan, but also he says that this is the first step in making Luis feel like he's part of the family. And you know what? That line was probably, to me, so truthful, because this is how he treats his family.
Yeah.
You know?
This is how it feels to be part of the Crane family.
Yeah. We're about to screw you over.
Yep.
And I don't care about it. Don't care about you. Don't care how you feel.
Get used to it.
Yeah. Don't get used to it, actually, because we don't want you in our family.
Yeah, that's
This
true.
is what it's like. Get a taste and run. So, anyway, later, this was crazy. This is so weird. Julian asks Luis to help him with his gun collection because the Crane security told him that his gun collection could be a target for thieves during the party. Then why doesn't the Crane security take care of it?
Yeah, like, why do I have to deal with it? I thought I was a guest.
This is a party for me. I got to do work.
Like, what?
What? Luis is like, sure, I'll help. Why, Luis? You're supposed to be the most suspicious one.
Yeah, like, if you're onto them, why would you let him lead you away from your fiance?
And then the next very suspicious thing is, Julian says, oh, leave your jacket because you're going to be doing some heavy lifting. I'll take it off when I get there. Like, what? So
another red flag.
Luis complies. He takes off his jacket, hands it to Sheridan, walks off with Julian. As soon as he walks off, his cell phone starts to ring. Sheridan pulls it out and is like, this is Luis's cell phone. Should I answer it? It could be the station. It might be important. Should I answer it? Girl, that's your fiance. Answer the phone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have a second thought.
Why
he left it in my
monologue? Like,
he left it in my possession. He's my fiance. I'll answer the phone, take a message. And mind you, cell phones were very new at this point. So everybody had always been answering the phone, like phones at other people's places and stuff like that, and saying, they're not here at the moment. Can I please take a message?
yeah, it's a normal thing to do at that point in time.
Yeah. Now it might be a little less normal to if you just left your phone laying here and it started to ring, I'm not going to answer it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you it's ringing. And if you tell me to answer it, then I'll answer it, but I'm not going to answer it.
Yeah.
And, but if I was getting married to someone, yeah, I might answer the phone.
Because, like, this is a committed relationship. We're supposed to like have that kind of dynamic.
I don't want you to miss the call.
Yeah.
Right? Like whatever it is, especially if I see, like now we have like very clear caller ID, very clear like who's calling. So if I see it's like somebody you would want to not miss a call from, I'll answer the phone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's devious in any way. So anyway, she answers the phone eventually.
Yeah.
After much hemming and hawing, she answers the phone. And it's Dee Dee. Delicious. What did we call her last time? Something Dee Dee. I can't remember
What
what
was it?
Decoy, delicious decoy Dee Dee, or devious decoy Dee Dee, or something
like that. Yeah.
It's Dee Dee, and she's saying, "Where are you? You promised you would make love to me tonight. When are you gonna dump that spoiled debutante and spend some time with me?" And then Sheridan says, "Who is this?" And the Dee Dee just hangs up. Or no, she says, no. She says, "Who is this?" Then Dee Dee says, "Well, who is this?" And Sheridan says, "This is Sheridan Crane." And that's when Dee Dee hangs up. And meanwhile, Luis like goes and helps with the gun collection, which the guns were in the library for some reason.
Because everything's in the library.
Yeah, they just wouldn't get a second set piece. They just were not going to pay for another set.
For that, like, little interaction, which is fair, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess he carries the guns out. I really am unclear about what happened in this. What was it that he did with the guns? But he helps with the guns. And when he leaves, Julian answers a phone call from Alistair, puts it on speakerphone. Of course. And Alistair is like incriminating both of them. Like, how's our plan going? How's the plot going to separate Sheridan and Luis? Remember, if it doesn't work, you have to kill them both, you and Rebecca. And like saying all of these like really extremely incriminating things. Luis walks back in on a part of the conversation where he doesn't hear the plan, but he does hear basically that they don't want Sheridan and Luis to be together. And he goes, "I knew it. You don't want me here. You're not, this party is a farce, but, and you're just worried that I'm going." Oh no, he thinks, I'm sorry. He says, I'm wrong actually. He says, "This party I know is a farce. I know you're just trying to make nice with me." He thinks that this is actually a gesture to keep him from digging into their family. He thinks that it's them placating him in a way, trying to get him to back off. And he says, "I'll never back off. I'll follow every lead. And if those leads lead me to you, Julian, or you, Alistair, God help you." Ooh, sounds like a threat.
Sounds murderous.
Sounds like a threat. So he leaves. Julian and Alistair are like glad because they're like, he doesn't know our plan. He's such an idiot. What a fucking idiot.
Like, they're ones to talk. Like, maybe not yell your plans.
On speakerphone.
Yeah.
Why are you always putting him on speakerphone? So then he leaves, but he's still in the dark about the imposter plot, even though it seemed like maybe he knew, but he didn't. Then when he goes back, Sheridan questions him about the phone call, and he says maybe it was the guys down at the station playing the trick on him. He calls down. They all swear up and down that it's not them, and Sheridan believes that he's telling the truth because he says, "Well, did this lady say my name? Did she call me by name?" And she's like, "Come to think of it, no. So maybe it was just a wrong number."
Yeah, a missed call. And you know what? Back in that day, I feel like it was a way, way easier to, call a wrong number, like, than it is now.
What bothered me about this was that they didn't star 69 that number and see who the fuck it was. That's the immediate 2001 thing to do. Is star 69.
He did that eventually, though.
No. What he did, I thought he was star 69. That's what I said. That's what I said. That's what I was yelling. I was like, "Star 69, star 69." And then he called the guys at the police station.
Oh.
Yeah. So he didn't star 69 the number. And whatever, he didn't do it. And so Sheridan says, "No, she didn't call you by name." And he's like, "So it was probably a wrong number." And she says, "You know what? I'm going to believe this. And they reconcile. Everything's fine. Rebecca and Julian and Dee Dee are all kind of watching and are like dismayed at the fact that the sparks aren't flying. They're not arguing with each other. Nothing's happening. Yeah. Their plans are not working. Then the imposter shows up, puts on his mask, and I don't know what happened. Like, what separated Sheridan and Luis this second time?
Luis started talking. Luis started talking to Hank. Isn't that
okay?
What
yeah, Luis was talking to Hank, so I guess Sheridan just walked away.
I think.
I don't know. Yeah, this is a plot hole. How did they end up getting separated again?
Yeah,
I don't remember that. I think they just gave us a commercial break, and then we came back and they weren't together anymore. Yeah.
So I guess it just drifted apart.
So, yes, Luis is talking to Hank at one point, and Sheridan sees Luis talking to Dee Dee out in the courtyard, and they look like they're having an argument. But that person is the imposter, right? And she tries to follow them and kind of loses them because they walk off somewhere, and she loses them. She goes back because the mist is getting thicker. She goes back to the party. She finds Luis and says, "Why are you lying to me? I saw you arguing with that lady. Who was that lady you were talking to?" And he's like, "What lady are you talking about? I don't know. I was talking to Hank."
Yeah, he's genuinely confused.
Yeah, I've been talking to Hank. And she's like, "No, I saw you talking to a woman, and it looked arguing with a woman." He's like, "I was arguing with a woman? Like, I don't know." And then he's like, "I was talking to Sharon because we saw," and I was wondering about this interaction. I was like, why are we have this Luis talking to this random woman? So he had a very short conversation with this woman named Sharon, who is one of his police buddy's wife, who that police buddy is on duty. Like, he's not even at the party, just his wife is. And so he talks to her for a little bit. They have a nondescript conversation about absolutely nothing. But that's who Luis thinks Sheridan saw him talking to. He's like, "I talked to Sharon, but we weren't arguing." And she was like, "No, I saw you arguing with a woman in a gold dress." And Luis says, "Sharon was wearing a purple dress." And Sheridan says, "No, I saw you talking to a skinny blonde woman in a gold dress. Looked like you were arguing with her." He says, "I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't seen this woman." And then she says, "Well, how'd you get this lipstick on your collar?" But I think she said that. And he said that was Sharon when she hugged him.
Yeah.
And so they're confused about what's going on. He then says, "Maybe the fog is playing tricks on you. Like, you thought you saw me talking to this woman." And then he says, "And maybe your subconscious is telling you you don't want to marry me."
Like, whoa.
Which, if Luis was actually two-timing her, would be an insane gaslighting tactic, insane. But because he hasn't done anything wrong, it's like really a genuine concern he seems to have.
Yeah.
You know, that he says maybe you haven't gotten over what happened down at the wharf, when we know it's an imposter, but she thinks that she heard Luis saying that he was just using her. Yeah. So that comes back up. Now they're remembering this because they hadn't talked about this in a long time. They decided to just put it behind them and never bring it up again, basically. And he's like, "Maybe you don't believe me when I say that wasn't me." And she's like, "I don't know what that was, but I do believe you." And they make up.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, "I want to marry you. I love you. No, of course I want to marry you. This is insane. Maybe it is just the fog."
Yeah, this fog, man, it's doing things to people. Making people kiss people and just craziness.
Yeah, she says it was just a strange string of events. The phone call, then seeing him with the girl in the mist, and it is. Honestly, the evidence is damning. The evidence is actually damning. But their love and loving for each other and their commitment to one another is what's keeping her loyal and saying like, no, I know Luis would never do this. And I can dig it because they really actually have developed these characters and developed this relationship.
They're committed to each other. They're not like some of these other couples where the smallest little thing, sends their relationship like spiraling out of control.
Yeah. So they've reconciled, much to Rebecca's chagrin. And Rebecca's like, oh my gosh, this isn't working. And she's worried because she's going to have to commit a murder or two if this doesn't work. And
I can't be mad at the girl for not wanting to kill.
And she's going to either have to commit a murder or two or be murdered herself. Like that's her choice here from Alistair. So she's like worried, terrified that this isn't working. And then Luis gets a phone call from the police station and they're like, we need you now. And he's like, it's my engagement party. Like, can't you get somebody else to do it? And he's like, no. So he's like, okay, I'm on my way. Which I would not be coming. Sorry, call Sam.
Exactly. Like, not get somebody, get Sam. He ain't doing nothing.
He ain't doing shit. He needs somebody to call him and get him away from Ivy.
He needs a distraction right now.
Yeah. So Luis leaves the party. Rebecca is like panicked. Julian says to her, it's all going according to plan. I'm the person who arranged for Luis to get that phone call to leave the party. So that's what's going on. That's where we are.
Yeah. Julian is like, don't worry, Rebecca. The assassination plot is still on.
The assassination plot is still on pause, right? Because they trying not to assassinate her. That's what they want.
Oh, yeah, they're still on pause.
They just want to devastate her. They don't want to assassinate her.
The only thing they're assassinating is the relationship.
Yep. That assassination is right on track.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the whole show. Naya, where can people find you if they want to follow you?
You can find me on Instagram under Kokebii, KOKEBII _.
And you can always find me on all of the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. Just search Passions Podcast and it'll come up. Check out the website, passionspodcast.com. Send me an email, passionspodcast@gmail.com. And check out the Patreon or leave us a tip. Thank you. All of those things are linked in the description. So with that, you are my passion for life. Breathe in, breathe out. You keep me alive. You are the fire burning inside of me.
You are my passion for life. Can't believe you